The air hung heavy with humidity and dread, a palpable tension that seemed to seep into our very bones. The mist swirled around us, thick and unyielding, as if it were trying to hide the secrets of the forest from prying eyes. The village of Huanglin was a forgotten place, lost to time and memory. Overgrown plants reclaimed the land, weaving through the dilapidated houses that stood as silent sentinels of a bygone era. It was as if the village itself was trying to erase its own existence. Ancient whispers clung to its shadowed corners, tales of sorrow and loss that echoed through the empty streets. The walls, worn and weathered, seemed to hold on to these stories, their surfaces etched with the passage of time. Warnings about the bamboo forest at the foot of the mountains were passed down through generations. The villagers spoke of it in hushed tones, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and reverence. It was a place where the natural and supernatural intertwined, a realm where the boundaries of reality blurred. No one dared to enter, not anymore, not since the disappearances. The path leading into the forest was overgrown and unkempt, a stark reminder of the danger that lay within. It was as if the forest itself was warning us to stay away. But whispers rarely stop explorers, they only lure them closer. Our curiosity was piqued, and the thrill of the unknown beckoned us forward. We were determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Our team, a motley crew of academics and thrill-seekers, had come seeking the truth behind the legends. Each of us had our own reasons for being there, but we were united by a common goal. The allure of the unknown was too strong to resist. Led by the ambitious Dr. Chen, we dismissed the villagers' fears as superstition. Dr. Chen was a man of science, driven by a relentless pursuit of knowledge. He believed that every legend had a basis in reality, and he was determined to find it. We carried with us cameras, notebooks, and a heady mix of excitement and apprehension. Our equipment was state-of-the-art, ready to capture any evidence we might find. But as we packed, a sense of unease lingered in the air. The locals watched us leave with a mixture of pity and fear in their eyes. Their silence spoke volumes. They had seen many like us before, and they knew the forest's secrets all too well. Their warnings, though unspoken, hung heavy in the air. The sun was already beginning to dip below the horizon as we entered the forest. Long shadows stretched across the ground, casting an eerie glow on the path ahead. The forest seemed to come alive in the twilight, its secrets hidden in the growing darkness. The air grew noticeably cooler, the sunlight struggling to penetrate the dense canopy of leaves above. The forest was a world unto itself, a place where time seemed to stand still. Each step we took was accompanied by the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of unseen creatures. The path, barely discernible, wound its way deeper into the heart of the bamboo forest. It twisted and turned, leading us further into the unknown. The deeper we went, the more the forest seemed to close in around us, its dense foliage creating a labyrinth of shadows. Each step forward seemed to take us further from the familiar world we knew. The forest was a place of mystery and magic, a realm where the ordinary rules of reality no longer applied. We were venturing into the unknown, guided only by our curiosity and the faint whispers of the past. The bamboo stalks grew taller, more tightly packed, as if trying to swallow the fading light. The forest seemed alive, its dense canopy creating an almost impenetrable barrier against the sky. The deeper we ventured, the more the light seemed to fade, as if the sun itself was being consumed by the relentless growth of bamboo. Each step we took was accompanied by the rustling of leaves and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot, adding to the eerie atmosphere. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves. It was a scent that clung to our clothes and filled our lungs, a constant reminder of the forest's ancient, untamed nature. The ground beneath our feet was soft and yielding, a mixture of mud and decomposing foliage that made each step a careful negotiation. The mist that hung low over the forest floor added to the sense of mystery, shrouding everything in a ghostly veil. We pressed on, our anticipation growing with every step. The journey was arduous, but the promise of discovering the temple kept us moving forward. Conversations were sparse, each of us lost in our thoughts, wondering what secrets the forest held. The occasional call of a distant bird or the rustle of unseen creatures in the underbrush were the only sounds. that broke the silence. Then, through the dense foliage, we saw it, the temple. It was a sight that took our breath away, a hidden gem in the heart of the forest. The structure seemed to emerge from the greenery, its ancient stones standing in stark contrast to the vibrant life around it. It was as if the forest had been guarding this secret for centuries, waiting for the right moment to reveal it. It was a sprawling structure of weathered stone, half consumed by the encroaching forest. The temple's walls were covered in moss and vines, nature's relentless advance slowly reclaiming what man had built. Each stone seemed to tell a story, whispering tales of a bygone era. The architecture was both grand and haunting, a testament to the skill and devotion of those who had constructed it. Vines, thick as pythons, snaked across its walls. They twisted and turned, creating intricate patterns that seemed almost deliberate. These natural invaders had become a part of the temple, their roots digging deep into the stone, binding the structure to the earth. It was a symbiotic relationship, a dance between nature and man-made marvel. The once ornate carvings were now barely discernible, worn smooth by time and the elements. These carvings, which had once depicted scenes of grandeur and reverence, were now ghostly echoes of their former selves. The details had faded, but the essence remained, a silent testament to the passage of time and the impermanence of human endeavors. The temple seemed to pulsate with an unnatural energy, a palpable aura of menace that sent shivers down our spines. It was as if the very air around it was charged with a dark, foreboding power. This was no ordinary ruin. It was a place steeped in mystery and perhaps even danger. The feeling was almost tangible, a weight that pressed down on us, making it hard to breathe. We made camp in the shadow of the temple, our voices hushed in the oppressive silence. The proximity to the ancient structure filled us with a mix of awe and unease. As night fell, the temple loomed over us, a silent guardian of its secrets. The flickering light of our campfire cast eerie shadows on the temple walls, making the carvings seem to come alive. The darkness seemed to press in on us. It was a living entity, wrapping around our camp like a shroud. The forest, which had been so full of life during the day, now felt like a different world entirely. Every rustle of leaves, every distant sound seemed amplified, adding to the sense of isolation and vulnerability. Unease settled over the group, fueled by the growing darkness and the stories we told in hushed tones. Tales of ancient rituals and forbidden knowledge, passed down through generations, seemed all too real in the shadow of the temple. Each story added to the tension, making the night feel even longer and more oppressive. The legends spoke of an ancient ritual, a forbidden knowledge that promised immortality. These rituals were said to be performed in the dead of night, under the watchful eyes of the forest spirits. The symbols carved into the temple walls were believed to hold the key to this forbidden knowledge, a map to immortality that came at a great cost, and a terrible price that came with it. The stories warned of a curse, a fate worse than death for those who dared to seek the temple's secrets. It was said that the forest itself would rise against the intruders, ensuring that the knowledge remained hidden forever. As we sat in the shadow of the temple, these tales felt all too real, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lay ahead. The interior of the temple was a labyrinth of shadowy corridors and crumbling chambers. Each step we took echoed through the ancient halls, a reminder of the countless souls who had walked these paths before us. The walls, though decayed, still held an air of grandeur, whispering secrets of a time long past. The air was heavy with the smell of decay and incense, a cloying sweetness that clung to the back of our throats. It was as if the very essence of the temple was trying to seep into our beings, to make us a part of its eternal history. The smoke from the incense swirled around us, creating ghostly figures that danced in the dim light. We moved cautiously, our flashlights cutting through the gloom, revealing tantalizing glimpses of the past. Ancient artifacts, long forgotten, lay scattered around, each one a piece of a puzzle that we were desperate to solve. The beams of our flashlights played tricks on our eyes, making us see shadows where there were none, and sometimes making us feel like we were not alone. Murals adorned the walls, depicting scenes of a bygone era, processions of robed figures, strange rituals, and a masked figure at the center of it all. These murals were not just art, they were stories, legends passed down through generations. The masked figure seemed to hold a place of great importance, perhaps even reverence in the society that once thrived here. In the heart of the temple, we found it, the Chamber of Whispers. This room, unlike the others, seemed almost untouched by time. The air was thick with an eerie silence, as if the very walls were holding their breath, waiting for us to uncover their secrets. A circular room with an ornate stone altar in the center. The altar was covered in intricate carvings, each one telling a story of its own. It was clear that this was a place of great significance, a place where the line between the mortal world and the divine was thin. And upon that altar, resting on a bed of faded silk, lay a mask. This was no ordinary mask. It was a relic, a piece of history that had survived the ravages of time. The silk, though faded, still held a hint of its former glory, a testament to the care with which this artifact had been preserved. It was a thing of both beauty and horror, crafted from some unknown metal and adorned with intricate carvings. The craftsmanship was exquisite, each detail meticulously etched into the metal, yet there was something unsettling about it, a sense of foreboding that made the hairs on the back of our necks stand on end. The eyes were empty sockets, yet they seemed to follow our every move. It was as if the mask was alive, watching us, judging us. The emptiness of the sockets was a stark contrast to the intricate details of the rest of the mask, adding to its eerie allure. May, our historian, reached out, her fingers trembling with a mixture of excitement and fear. She had spent years studying artifacts like this, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of holding such a powerful piece of history in her hands. Her eyes were wide with wonder, and for a moment it seemed as if time stood still. Ignoring Dr. Chen's warnings, she lifted the mask from its resting place. The weight of it surprised her, and she almost dropped it. But she held on, her determination stronger than her fear. Dr. Chen's voice was a distant echo, drowned out by the pounding of her heart. The air grew cold, the shadows in the room seeming to deepen and writhe. It was as if the temple itself was reacting to the disturbance, the very fabric of reality shifting around us. The temperature dropped rapidly, and we could see our breath misting in the air. A low hum resonated from the mask, vibrating against May's skin. The sound was both soothing and terrifying, a lullaby and a warning. It seemed to come from deep within the mask, a voice from another time, another world. And then, with a triumphant smile, she raised it to her face. The mask seemed to come alive in her hands, its carving shifting and changing. As she placed it over her eyes, a sense of power surged through her, and for a moment she was no longer May, the historian. She was something more, something ancient and eternal. The moment the mask touched May's face, the temple seemed to shudder. A wave of energy pulsed outwards, throwing us back against the cold stone walls. The air crackled with an unseen power, then silence. But it was a different kind of silence now, heavier, more absolute. We rushed to May, but she was gone, vanished. The only sign of her presence, the mask lying shattered on the ground. Panic began to set in. We were trapped. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper. The temple, once a place of silent reverence, was now alive with unseen menace. As we stumbled back towards the entrance, we found the way blocked. The bamboo, once merely a dense forest, had transformed. The stalks had twisted, grown together, forming a wall of impenetrable vegetation. We were trapped in a labyrinth of our own making. The forest had become our prison.